You've been listening to Between the Dials. And if you're still here after all that whispering and soul bearing, thank you. Really. That segment always leaves me a little wobbly in the knees. But I promise, our next frequency is lighter. Well, lighter-ish. Let's call it palatably eerie. Because sometimes the past doesn't show up in your dreams or memories. Sometimes it shows up in your notifications. A voicemail from a number that shouldn't exist. Their song showing up on your playlist months after the breakup. A draft email you never sent that keeps saving itself. Digital ghosts. They don't rattle chains. They just ping. Welcome to Ghost in the Feed. A little bit of hauntology, a little bit of internet weirdness, and a reminder that even deleted data can have a second life. Ghost in the Feed is our periodical ponderance, the place where I chase down the weird, wild wanderings of the WWW. Things you didn't mean to save, stories that stayed behind, from my haunted inbox. I found this fun little periodical, you may have heard of it, Reddit. I thought I would take tonight's story from there. If you heard of Reddit, you know that it has all sorts of categories for the reader contributors to choose from. Our story comes from our glitch in the Matrix, and it starts, as all good signal anomalies do, with a voicemail. The OP wrote, "This occurred about 3 years ago. I had a position as a buyer, and as such would receive tons of cold calls and emails from people trying to get our company to try their products for resale. Also important, our company had a digital VoIP, not sure of the correct terminology, phone system. There was one central number, and it followed a phone tree to multiple offices via internet connection. Voicemails were available on our big office phones, but the recording would also be sent to our emails. So one day, I received a voicemail from a phone number I recognized as someone who had been attempting to get a hold of me to sell me their products. Oddly, the voicemail was something like 15 minutes long. Curious, I began to listen to it. The message began with just static and the sound of rustling. Seems like a classic butt dial, or maybe they forgot to hang up when the voicemail clicked on. I fast forwarded the message just to see if anything was ever heard, and yes, suddenly a clear voice. They're having a one-sided conversation. I think, ooh, these can be fun sometimes. Except the one-sided conversation is clearly with me. The person on the phone is referencing my, then recent, maternity leave, our company by name, a few other pretty identifying details that currently escape me. They'd stop speaking, and it would be blank air, and then answer a pertinent question that I would have asked in that kind of conversation. Clearly speaking to me. But I never spoke to this company or this person. I did receive additional emails from them later that were clearly initial attempts at communication and not a follow-up to a conversation. I checked with coworkers in case somehow, somewhere, their conversation got picked up in my voicemail, and nope. My coworkers and husband were equally confounded, but with zero explanation. We just all had to move on. I mean, no one knew where that voicemail came from. Not a single idea. That's what gets me. What dimension did that call happen in? And why did they have to hear it? Why did it bleed over? Am I right? The top comment in that particular thread wrote their own experience of touching another dimension. That writer writes, I had a similar glitch about 25 years ago. I'll just copy and paste the story I posted a long time ago. I've related this story before, but here it goes. The Parallel Universe Answering Machine. This happened about 25 years ago. I called my friend up, and he wasn't home, so I left a message on his answering machine. I said, Hey, it's me, OP. Sorry I missed you. Call you later. Bye. And then I hung up and left the house. I made no other calls. Later that day, he called back and he says, Wow, that was quite a message you left. Who was that girl you were talking to? I was like, What are you talking about? I wasn't talking to any girl. Well, as it turns out, the message didn't end after I said bye. I had to go over to his house and listen to this message a few times. After my initial message that I did leave, as quoted above, there was a slight pause and then it continued on for another 30 to 40 seconds or so with me talking to some girl. It was my voice, but a conversation I never had with a girl whose voice I didn't recognize. You could compare it to the message I know I did leave, and the two voices were indistinguishable. Not just the voice, but, talking mannerisms. It was my voice. Also, references to my occupation and activities were the same. Basically, in this conversation, I was talking to this girl about going skiing, but I had to go down to my shop and work on a car first, which totally correlated to me. Then, the message just stopped. It was recorded on one of those digital answering machines that recorded the message to a chip, so there was no tape I could have taken and had analyzed, unfortunately. Also, neither I nor my friend had party lines, so that's not an explanation. It was very freaky. I can't explain it. TLDR, I may have connected to an alternate universe through a telephone answering machine. Another user commented to that particular post. I remember this when you first posted it. It was freaky then, and it's still freaky now, LOL. I personally would have to agree. It would have been freaky had I read it then. And it is freaky now. A different user stated, This upset my soul. I mean, personally, it doesn't hurt my soul, but it makes me envious that this user got to touch another dimension through analog means. It wasn't even interwebs related. How cool is that? Kinda makes me jealous. Just a little. Okay, a lot. LOL. It also makes me think of the Mandela effect. Deep dive in the future. But for now, Google if you have no idea what I'm talking about. You see, getting to see a glimpse of the self that is so close to the present, but different, doesn't have to be scary. It can be a gift. You get to glimpse what is different. Getting to experience that with others keeps you from sounding nuts. Unless they suddenly have no idea what you're talking about. Again, Google Mandela effect. In the end, the static clings because we carry charge. And that's proof we're still alive.